What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including some serious allegations being made against Tessa Blanchard, a potential AEW signing, two stars who didn't want to work with the WWE, and AAA's La Parka passes away. Let's get straight into the first story as rest in peace La Parka. Sadly, last night, Lucha Blog informed the wrestling community that the wrestler, whose identity is unknown, wrestled under the La Parka gimmick in AAA and passed away at the age of only 56. They tweeted, "AAA's La Parka passed away tonight. He was 56. He suffered serious injuries on a dive at the end of November and never recovered. La Parka is one of the bigger recent stars in Mexican wrestling, the symbol of AAA. He is not the La Parka who wrestled in WCW and is now La Park." Now, we must admit that we were only familiar with the character in WCW as he was part of the Cruiserweight division and the Latino World Order faction, and normally carried a chair down to the ring as a weapon. Since he carried that weapon, he was normally an advantage in the WCW NWO Revenge game. But whilst it's not the same wrestler, our thoughts and prayers are still with the wrestler's family. There's also been some serious allegations being made against Tessa Blanchard. The third-generation grappler Tessa Blanchard is set to face Sami Callihan for the Impact World Championship at the 12th January Hard to Kill pay-per-view. Right now though, she's facing serious allegations from some of the women she's encountered in the past, with wrestlers accusing Tessa of bullying other women and even spitting in one wrestler's face and calling her the N-word. Let's look at how this seems to have started. On 11th January, Tessa Blanchard tweeted, "Hey women, try to support one another, cool things happen." Blanchard's seemingly innocuous tweet led to a digital deluge of accusations towards her, including the following from Allysin Kay, the current NWA World Women's Champion. "Remember when you spat in a black woman's face and called her the N-word in Japan? Was that you supporting women?" The audacity of this tweet. She then followed with, "The reason I've never said anything until now is because it wasn't my story to tell. I made it clear to La Rosa that I had her back and today was the day she gave me permission. You can't force someone to come forward, but you can be there for them. That is supporting women." Things were only getting started as current NXT star Chelsea Green tweeted, "You've constantly put down, bullied and belittled countless female co-workers, including me. Is that support?" The Blanchard bashing continued with Priscilla Kelly joining in saying, "Remember publicly putting me down on Twitter last year for something that didn't involve you whatsoever, then continuing to drag my name to other people for it? Pepperidge Farm remembers. You should probably delete this tweet." Independent wrestler La Rosa Negra revealed herself as the person who Tessa allegedly spit at. "Thank you so much. That story. Yes, that happened on Japan 2017. If Tessa Blanchard did not remember it, can I? I'm not a mean girl with any co-workers around the world. Be kind of racist is not ridiculous, it is a sickness." According to Fightful.com, Allysin Kay confirmed that La Rosa was the wrestler she accused Tessa Blanchard of spitting at and insulting. Wrestler Renee Michelle took to social media explaining, "The day I got the call from my girlfriend La Rosa Negra of the incident, she made me promise to keep my mouth shut because she was afraid of being blackballed by her. As promised, I did, so I helped her to get into Marvelous, which is another Japanese promotion." The tweets supporting the allegations made against Tessa Blanchard continued throughout the day. Wrestler Illa Dawn accused Blanchard of bullying, also tweeting, "As someone who experienced your bullying firsthand, received regular verbal abuse, was spat on, had rumors spread about me, dealt with multiple attempts by you to blacklist me from other companies plus more, I just pray you now follow your own advice." Former TNA star Rebel added to the accusation saying, "I like to think people change over time, but I can confirm the bad behavior and non-supportive attitude in Japan. I was there." AEW competitor Big Swole chimed in as well, tweeting, "So since we're telling stories, Big Swole's turn. I won't speak on all of the other stories, but the one about La Rosa I know personally. This past year at WrestleCade, I spoke to her about this and about hashing it out with Tessa. I've spoken to Tessa as well after talking with La Rosa, and I decided it needed to be dealt with. A conversation needed to happen because this was getting intense over the years. As a black woman, this sickened me that this happened to a friend of mine. We've been dealing with this since it happened, it's just now finding light on social media. People are entitled to deal with this how they want, I just want the world to know the last part of the story." However, Blanchard's fellow Impact wrestler Moose stood up for Blanchard, responding to both Allysin Kay and Chelsea Green. I guess you and Chelsea Green are absolute angels with a clean past. The timing of these tweets from you guys shows a lot about your characters. Impact wrestler Kira Hogan tweeted, "Not speaking on any singular person. Us as people need to learn and grow, everyone needs to evolve. Just some words of wisdom is all, just some advice. Hell, I'm talking to myself too." As for Blanchard herself, the current #1 contender for the Impact World Championship responded to the accusations with 2 tweets saying, "I've never been anything but kind to you. I've dealt with mean girls since I started. Not saying I'm a saint. Hell, I've had my ups and downs and I've made silly decisions. Such is life. You have zero merit in your comments. Instead, putting me down here for a little clout, you've got mine." And in response to Chelsea Green's accusations of bullying, "Not true. That's my statement and the most attention I'll give it because of how actually ridiculous it is." The accusations against Blanchard are coming from a variety of people and from those who work in different wrestling organizations. While the timing is curious, as she's set to wrestle a historic match at the pay-per-view, might it be Blanchard's Twitter pep talk was seen as hypocritical, thus prompting the onslaught of ostracization. We'll let you know more as the story unfolds. Funnily enough, IGN posted an article on Tessa becoming the first female Impact Wrestling World Champion just moments before this all unfolded. Next up, SmackDown ratings deliver. The 10th January edition of Friday Night SmackDown showed improvement in the ratings department, with Paul Fontaine of the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online reporting the show averaged 2.502 million viewers, up 4% from last week. That's the best number for SmackDown since the Survivor Series Go Home show on November 22nd. SmackDown averaged the same 0.5 rating in the 18 to 34 demographic, but was up 7% in the 18 to 49 with a 0.75 rating. Although SmackDown's overall average viewers were less than the 3 major networks, the show performed well in key demographics, with Fontaine noting SmackDown topped all the network programming in 18 to 34 and finished second to CBS's Hawaii 5-0 in 18 to 49. As discussed in our analysis of SmackDown, the Blue Brand has managed to put on a good show for 3 weeks in a row, and with any luck will continue doing so. Let's see if the WWE can continue growing its audience, especially with the build-up from the Rumble and WrestleMania. Steve Austin recalls who made him retire and what he could have done in the WWE. Stone Cold Steve Austin recently talked with Bleacher Report about a number of things, including who told him to retire from wrestling when his neck injury finally made wrestling dangerous. While you might think it was Vince McMahon or Austin's doctor, it wasn't. Austin revealed, "To walk away from the business was hard. I was talking to Dale Earnhardt Jr. last year on my show on USA Network about how all the concussions caught up with him. He had to pull his own plug. A doctor wasn't going to tell him, hey, you need to quit. He pulled the plug on himself. I did the same thing." The Texas Rattlesnake also discussed the difficulty of walking away from the ring when he was in his prime. "There is a small part of me, even though I don't live in the past, that says, man, when you're 38 years old, man, in wrestling, you're really in your prime. And so to walk away from the table at seemingly a primetime age was very, very tough for me to do at many levels." What do you guys think would have happened to Austin if he had been able to continue to wrestle without risking his health? Would he still be wrestling today? Next up, 2 wrestlers say no to WWE. Now, we're not talking about the Revival or Matt Hardy, 3 superstars who appear to be on their way out of the WWE, but 2 top names in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Will Ospreay and Jay White. Recently, Dave Meltzer discussed talks about the WWE pursuing both stars, with Meltzer opinioning, when people are like, so when are they going to come to WWE, it's kinda like, well, I know from talking to Jay I would say never, and Will I would not say never because he kinda makes allusions that someday he might, but that someday is years and years and years away. As long as he can perform at a top level, he doesn't want to go anywhere because New Japan is the top level. According to Meltzer, Will Ospreay could appear in WWE, but he's content right where he is. As fans know, the WWE isn't every wrestler's cup of tea, and there are more options than ever for great grapplers to pursue. Next up, the Hulkster auctions a historic car for charity. Hulk Hogan recently put his red and yellow Viper up for auction, with the historic car fetching $75,000. As you likely recall, this was a car Hogan drove for his contract signing with WCW at the Disney MGM Studios. According to Ringside News, the proceeds were given to 50 Legs, a charity that provides amputees with the necessary care and prosthetics. And lastly, is Luke Harper headed for AEW? Yes, this may have been the 90th report on this, but the WWE recently released Luke Harper along with The Ascension and Sin Cara, and now it looks like the former Wyatt family member may be on his way to AEW. Recently, Harper posed with current AEW star Sammy Guevara at a Corpus Christi Ice Rays hockey game, fueling speculation as to his next destination. Wrestling site eWrestling News also reported on recent comment from AEW Executive Vice President Cody Rhodes. "He would be great as part of AEW. He's a name that when you hear they've asked for their release, you definitely think about that and the next steps for sure. I think he's going to flourish with what he does next. He's very special." Harper is an agile big man who can add some size and power to the AEW roster while keeping up with the promotion's fast-paced style. Where would you like to see Harper end up wrestling? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.